Okay, so our legs are going to be pretty straightforward as well. There's just a few things like creating the spot for the legs, like where we did the arms and around the kneecap area. You want to make sure you have the right type of geometry so when the leg bends it kind of deforms correctly. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to start with is I'm going to make that area for the leg. So I'm pretty much going to do the same thing I did with the arms. I'm going to grab these two and these two, and I'll do a bridge. And let me just bring my divisions all the way down to 1. That's all I really want to start with. And then I'm just going to bring this all the way down to the sort of crotch area. And you want to make sure that you have a gap here. Otherwise the legs will just sort of go right into each other, and it's just going to be really difficult to get any good sort of deformation out of that whenever it comes to animating. So then I can come in and I can start adding some edge loops to sort of round out that geometry a little bit. So this is going to be sort of where his butt crack will be. So I need to make sure that those vertices are sort of really nice and tight and close together, maybe starting to come out a little bit like that. But we definitely want a crease there. So and that's something we can sort of tweak later. For now, I just want to keep like a minimal amount of geometry going on here. So I know it's going to start out looking, you know, something like a diaper, but that's okay. That's kind of what we're going for right off the bat. Is that just that sort of think of it as like you're modeling the underwear, like the underwear portion. Now I did go a little high with this. I probably want to bring some of this way down. I was kind of lining it up with the belt there, which in real life it wouldn't be so lined up with the belt like that. So I can come in and bring a lot of these guys way down, which will make it a lot easier whenever I extrude the legs down. So maybe just one more extrusion there. I want a nice round shape like that. So something along the lines of that for his, to start his legs. So just again, think of this as kind of like a jumpsuit or a leotard, I guess what you would call it. I'm not quite sure. But once you have this shape, then we can select this this edge ring here and extrude down. Now again, you do absolutely want a gap right here between the legs. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really difficult to get some good deformation out of that whenever it comes time to animate. So I'm not going to right away. I'm not going to start out by extruding. So if I just click extrude, I'm not going to start out by extruding all the way down. I'm going to bring it out a little bit and try to just take this information here, this edge ring I have here, and form it to where it's going to be more of like a little bit more of the direction we want it to go down in. So I know that might be weird at first, but just sort of start pulling all these guys in the direction you want them to be. And again, our front torso area didn't really match up, which means his legs are probably going to be a little thicker than I originally thought they would be, which is fine. His legs are really thin anyway. So having them a little thicker won't really make too big of a deal. Let's jump over to side. And I just want to get this to be sort of a round shape. I might have to look at it in our perspective view. So see, it looks sort of like a round shape from here and here, but it's always good to jump over into your perspective. You'll get a much better idea of how things are looking and how you should go in and sort of correct the issues that you would normally not see until it was too late. So it's very important to come in from your perspective view and look at these shapes before you go in and start extruding down to make the legs. So now we have more of a round leg shape there. And I can always come in and add more hip detail, which I'll probably do. I'll do that in my time lapse after I get the legs and the arms and hands and feet built. I'll probably come in and do a time lapse and sort of just tweak things all over. That may take me a couple hours, and it would be nothing but silence if I recorded it. So I'll probably just speed it up like 400%, and it'll be like a 30-minute video. All right, so now once I have that, now I'm going to come down and extrude these guys, these legs, all the way down like that. Now what I can do here to sort of get this shape in the right direction, sort of get everything going where I want it to be, is I can come in with my scale tool and just scale that all the way down until it's nice and even, and then I can come in and sort of get it in the right place. So I'm going to rotate it a little bit like that so it kind of matches up the angle of those legs. And then I'll extrude down again, and this time we'll go all the way down to the ankle area. Scale that down a little bit. All right, so starting out, I would say that I probably have a little too much geometry in here to really have a good starting point. I'm going to try and make it work, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So, and I don't have a ton of detail in the leg so far. So if I smooth it, it's just going to look like these little noodle legs or something. So I definitely want to work on them a little bit more. So usually what I like to do is start with the calf area. I think that's an easy way to get some decent detail in here. Is just to come in here and sort of make an edge loop and then sort of move these all around. And again, I'm not pouring a ton of detail into the legs. They're going to be a little thicker than I wanted them to be originally, but that's okay. I just want the sort of basic shape. And then I can add just a little bit of detail, and with the legs here, the upper legs. Then you'll see once we start adding some geometry here. Oops. That was my video that just finished uploading. Once we start adding some geometry, and then I jump back to like my perspective view. They're a little bit weird looking, but if I smooth it now, they're going to look a little bit more like the shape we're going for. I think they need to be, there's some tweaking I need to do in the back here for sure. In this butt area, I'm probably going to have to change up the geometry. I always have a hard time with the butt. I'm not quite sure why that is. Just a very sort of complex shape. This is really important at this point to sort of come in and look at anatomy so you know the sort of shapes you're going for. Leg muscles are kind of hard to pull off unless you really know the shapes you're looking for and the shapes you're trying to create. I'm not really looking at anatomy nearly as much as I should right now, but I've done this enough to where I can kind of probably noodle it out on my own, but if I need to, I can always come in and look at some anatomy. We have the internet at our fingertips, so no reason to not come in and find some good anatomy reference to look at. So for his kneecaps, I'm going to go in and make some geometry for his kneecaps. I kind of want to make that sort of a round shape. So something like this. This will do two things for me. It'll make a couple triangles, which will help me create more geometry in here to kind of crease the back of the legs, and it'll just sort of emphasize the shape. of the knees. And so far I don't like a lot of the shape of things in here. Maybe a good idea to, good place to use the sculpt geometry tool. This may be an area that I would really want to jump into something like Mudbox to get the shape right, and I'll probably do that eventually. I might do that after I'm sort of done with the entire body. But legs are sort of a tough shape. Okay, so I'll just add an edge loop in here and here. And then I can come in and make these little triangles. I can turn those guys into quads. In case it kind of makes, I'll figure it out. Kind of makes those other pieces of geometry in GONS. You have to just figure out a way to deal with that later. So I'll come in now, grab my sculpt geometry tool, and just sort of try to start smoothing some of this out. I have something there I need to fix. So my circle there didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to, so I might have to go in and recreate that. Let me merge these back up, so sort of back at square one. So let's see. Start here. Let's do this. So there's not really a trick or anything that I'm doing here. I'm just trying different things. I'm trying to get sort of a circle knee shape out of that. I can sort of pull these guys out. Oops. What'd I do? There we go. Starting to get a little bit of a knee shape. I feel like my legs should be, they have more depth than width, I think, and that's weird. Sometimes what you can do if you want is just sort of grab, let's go to your lasso tool here, and just sort of grab a whole chunk of them, and you can sort of scale them back a little bit if they're not giving you the sort of result you want. So that makes it not match up with my reference so much, but that's not that big of a deal. Or something like the legs. So there are some pretty big issues with the butt I need to fix, which may be kind of tough, but I think what I can do, and this may give me a little more emphasis on the hips too, is just make an edge loop all the way around here. Make a triangle there, but that's okay. And, oops. So I got to make some triangles to get the look I want. I mean, it pretty much all comes down to, does it look right? And that's basically it. I want to get it to look right first, and then I can go in and worry about getting all my geometry super correct, which it's important, but form is even more important in a lot of cases. We all sort of have a little flat spot on the side of our legs. As well as a sort of indentation in the back of our knees. And basically this is what I'm doing. I'm just looking for like major features that I can kind of match up with reference, that sort of like just little key points of how the geometry should look. It's getting there. I still think it's a little, the scale is a little off. All right, so I think for the most part that is the legs. They're not, obviously not as great as I'd like them to be, but I think this is a good start, and this will give me plenty of good opportunity to plenty of geometry anyway, and geometry in the right spot to sort of tweak them, bring it into Mudbox at one point and tweak them. And a lot of this stuff, I have some triangles in here, I have some really weird, like that's a weird choice of it's a weird choice of edge flow that I have there. That I need to fix somehow. And I think I just redid exactly what I had before. But anyway, I'll tweak this more once I get the hands and feet, the arms, hands and feet on as well. But I think for now, this is a sort of a decent starting point. I still don't like his butt either. His butt needs more work for sure. This is one of those things that you could waste, not waste, but you can just spend hours tweaking your model. And I often do. But I'm going to leave it alone now. So that is creating a basic form for their legs. Again, he's going to have pants on, so a lot of it isn't super important. And you know, if your character doesn't have pants, then you might want to, or maybe tights or something like that, and then you definitely want to come in and spend more time working in some detail, or at least getting all the geometry in the correct place, and then you can bring it into Mudbox and sculpt it and sort of tweak the forms a little bit. And that's what we're going to do eventually, probably once I get the legs or the arms, hands, and feet on. We'll take it over in the Mudbox before we start making the clothes and tweak these forms a little bit. Okay.